Greetings and God's peace be with you. My name is Kristofer and I'm one of the co-rectors at St. Francis Episcopal Parish and Community Center. I'm standing here in our front yard in front of this bird bath here, a scene that is often, it's in yards all around the world. Statues of St. Francis of Assisi in gardens beside bird baths. It's a beautiful expression of the charism of Francis and his connectivity with creation, but it also really domesticates him. It has him relegated to what even is a beautiful landscape without recognizing the radical nature of the way that he lived his life, that the way that he gave away everything he had to follow Jesus in this radical way and to really reshape the church in ways that we have so much to learn from. Well, it's summertime. You hear the birds out, hear people washing their car behind me. I'm grateful for some time this week for some rest and recreation. I'm really excited that tonight I get to officiate at the wedding of one of my sisters, and I'm just glad to have some time to slow down, to sit by the water, maybe not a bird bath, but to find rivers and lakes and streams and oceans to be able to sit by and find refreshment, to connect with God in powerful ways. At least that's one of the places where I reconnect. I think when I am around water, it reminds me of the way in which God's grace pours through the world and through us. And I sometimes think when I'm sitting beside these bodies of water about baptism. I was reflecting the other day about a story in the book of Acts of Philip and the eunuch from Ethiopia. We're told in the book of Acts in chapter 8 that an angel of the Lord said to Philip, "Get up and go towards the south to the road that goes down from Jerusalem to Gaza. This is a wilderness road." Sounds exciting, doesn't it? So we got up. Now there was an Ethiopian eunuch, a court official of the Candace, queen of the Ethiopians, in charge of her entire treasury. He'd come to Jerusalem to worship and was returning home, seated in his chariot. He was reading the prophet Isaiah. Then the Spirit said to Philip, "Go over to the chariot and join it." So Philip ran up to it and heard him reading the prophet Isaiah. He asked, "Do you understand what you are reading?" The eunuch replied, "How can I unless someone guides me?" And he invited Philip to get in and sit beside him. Now the passage of the scripture that he was reading was this: "Like a sheep that was led to the slaughter, and like a lamb silent before its shearer, so he does not open his mouth. In his humiliation justice was denied him. Who can describe his generation? For his life is taken away from the earth." The eunuch asked Philip, "About whom, may I ask you, does the prophet say this, about himself or someone else?" Then Philip began to speak and started with this scripture. He proclaimed to him the good news about Jesus as they were going along the road. They came to some water. And the eunuch said, "Look, here is water. What is to prevent me from becoming baptized?" What is to prevent me from being baptized? Last week when I was recording the message for the SSS, I was sitting out on my porch, and I just finished, and I was praying and listening to the birds, trying to fend off the mosquitoes from chewing me up too much. And a young man who I speak to pretty regularly, but not someone that I'd ever taken much time to get to know, walked past. He often is out walking, and he stopped and he took his earphones off, and I was wearing habit like I am now, and just sitting out, and it's I think it gets people's attention in ways that I'm still trying to figure out and make sense of. But it invited a conversation. And the young man said to me pretty quickly, he said, are you a preacher? And, I said, yep, I am a preacher, and I'm a pastor, and I'm a priest, and I'm also a friar. And he said, well, it's funny because I have been looking for a place to be baptized. Maybe you can help me. And, at this point I was pretty awestruck. It's not often that someone says to me, I am looking to be baptized, just walking around in the neighborhood. And so I stopped what I was doing and went up and spoke to him more, and it was really powerful to listen to him. And it was a brief conversation. I didn't want to overwhelm him. I told him a little bit about St. Francis, our parish and community center, and I invited him to attend. This young man had grown up in Timonium, in fact, and had gone to school at Delaney, and so he knew where we were. And I said, I'd be happy to help make possible for you to be baptized there. We really have no barriers between baptism, so we want to make it easy for folks, and I'd be happy to journey with you on that, to walk with you in your faith life. And so I asked him some questions about what he was looking for in a church, and the things that he described were beautiful. And it may be that we'll meet him one day at St. Francis, but the point that I wanted to make is that here I was sitting, praying, and along came this man of faith, this man of wonder, of curiosity, looking for something. And I think about the interaction between Philip and this Ethiopian man, and the power of that encounter, the deep faith of this man and his desire to move deeper in his relationship with God. As I stand over this bird bath, I hadn't thought even for a second about, well, if you want to be baptized, I could do that right here and right now. Or just gone back into the house to get some water and offered that to him. For me, in our tradition, baptism is a communal experience, but I don't know what that would have meant for him, and it just brings up questions, and it makes me wonder about the ways that I can respond to people in their faith, with their questions of meaning. How am I called to journey alongside them? I wonder if it makes you ask similar questions. As you yourself, a disciple of Jesus, on a journey, perhaps on a wilderness road, who are the people that you're accompanying? Who are the people that are accompanying you? How are we being called to learn and grow together as we read scriptures, try to make sense of how God is active in our lives, how God has been active in the stories of the people of God throughout time, but what is the Spirit doing still today in your life, in my life, and in our common lives together? I pray for this young man. I pray for you, and I ask for you to pray for me as we continue this walk together. I'm glad to be in community with you, and as God continues to show up in the most powerful and wonderful ways, may we be open to those conversations with friend and neighbor and stranger, enemy even, that invites us to ponder the mystery of Christ's presence with us. Until next time, may Christ's peace be with you.